Hello guys, it is Gate of Theories, but before we get started with this video, we have a quick question for you guys. Can you guess the movie from these emojis? The answer will be at the end of the video, and before we go any further, just make sure you've clicked that red subscribe button because we are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. Anyway, this week I was watching Finding Nemo, and I noticed something in P. Sherman's dentist place. And that is this mobile. And what's strange about this is that I was watching a video on Easter eggs to try and come up with a theory for you guys, and I found the exact same mobile in Boo's room from Monsters Inc., which brought me to the question, are Boo and Darla related? Now, you might be thinking, Boo being Darla sounds completely strange, but there is so much evidence in Finding Nemo and Monsters Inc. that prove that these two are related. First of all, let's look at Boo's room. Now, there are so many Easter eggs in this room, the most iconic one probably being the Luxo ball or the Jessie doll. But in the dentist toy area for people who are waiting to go to the dentist, there are loads of Boo's toys around there. There's the Jack-in-the-Box, the same Luxo ball, the same teddy bear, the same sailing boat, the same clown. Now, I showed two versions of Boo's room there, one at the beginning of Monsters Inc. and one at the end of Monsters Inc. Now, you might have noticed something, that the fish mobile that we saw in P. Sherman's dentist place is not there when Sully and Boo return to the room at the end of the movie. Sully did kick some of the stuff around in Boo's room, which is why all the toys and stuff are moved, but he took the missing fish mobile and some other things and put them in one of the Monsters Inc. lockers. But then what happens is later on, George opens the locker and everything comes out apart from the fish mobile. So obviously someone seems to have returned it back to Boo's room. Might have been Randall or it might have not, but someone has returned it to Boo's room. So why is it still missing in the Boo's room at the end of the movie? Now, I have came up with this theory about why on earth the fish mobile was returned but then taken away again in the human world. Firstly, I'm gonna get the big reveal out first. I believe that Boo is actually the daughter of P. Sherman in Finding Nemo. Now, if any of you guys are Seamus Gorman fans, you probably don't believe me on this one because he has made a theory on who Boo's parents are, saying that they are supers. Now, you might believe that, but just wait a minute and maybe I can persuade you to believe this theory. Now, in Seamus Gorman's theory, he says that Boo's parents are supers. Now, we can see that Boo sort of has some superpowers, so we're going to stick with that idea, but we're going to say that Boo's parents, only her mother is the super, and that her father is, of course, P. Sherman. Now, you might be asking names. I mean, Boo's real name is Mary Gibbs, and P. Sherman's real name is, well, P. Sherman. And surely if P. Sherman was Boo's father, Boo would have his last name, which would be Mary Sherman. Instead, she still has Mary Gibbs. My theory is that the mother of Boo, who we never get to meet in Monsters Inc., has got divorced from P. Sherman and decided to change her daughter's name to her real name. The reason for this divorce is maybe because P. Sherman wasn't that close with his wife and child. I mean, we see him being really close to his niece Darla, and we see that he's got several pictures of her around his dentist's place, but never a picture of his daughter Boo and his wife, just pictures of himself. So obviously he probably wasn't that in love with his wife, so his wife might have divorced with him. Now, going back to the missing fish mobile, how on earth it is in Boo's room and then it disappears, and it is also in P. Sherman's dentist place. Well, my theory is that, like we said before, P. Sherman obviously isn't that close with Boo, and he walks into Boo's room because he needs something to keep the his patients distracted while he looks at their teeth. So he goes into Boo's room and steals the fish mobile. But what he doesn't realise is, seeing as he's not that close with Boo, he doesn't even check if Boo is in her bed. And Boo is not in her bed, so that just proves that P. Sherman isn't that close to his now divorced wife and to his child. Now, you might also be asking about the eye colour. I mean, P. Sherman has blue eyes and Boo has brown eyes. Now, if you know about how on earth your child gets eye colour from your parents, brown eyes are more dominant over green and blue eyes. So in order it goes brown, then blue, then green, meaning green are probably the rarest eyes to get. And what happens is, if any of your parents have brown eyes, then your child will definitely have brown eyes. Even if the father has green or blue eyes, your child is still going to have brown eyes. So say if Boo's mum has brown eyes, then Boo of course will have brown eyes. Now, you might also be asking about the timings of these movies to see if the P. Sherman could be Boo's father and if the timings add up correctly. Now, in the Pixar theory, Finding Nemo takes place in 2003, but that actually isn't the case. In the dentist's office, we can see that there is a calendar, and it says that it is November. And November starts on a Sunday on this calendar, and November in 2003 did not start on a Sunday. There are only 2 years that are near to 2003 that have November starting on a Sunday, which is 1998 and 2009. So one of those 2 years is where Finding Nemo takes place. Now, if we look at where Boo, of course, lives, we know that the monsters are scaring around the year 1999 because of the booklet that Mike opens to get his keycard out to find a door. Now, if you look in the right hand corner, it says 1999, and we said before that P. Sherman takes place in 1998 or 2009, which means that 1998 is where Finding Nemo takes place, and where the monsters are going through to scare the children is in 1999, which matches up perfectly. So the timings match up for Boo and P. Sherman to be related, but what about where on earth they live? Now, we know, of course, P. Sherman lives in Sydney in Australia, but what about Boo? Now, we can find this out from the big map that they have in the scare floor. Now, on the big map, in the morning shift, the monsters are scaring kids from the US East Coast, and it should be around 10 to 12 a.m. in the monster world, and it would be around 6 to 8 p.m. on the East Coast. Then Mike then tells his girlfriend he will see her at 5, and shortly after he meets her, Sully finds Boo. This should mean that it is around 3 a.m. on the East Coast at that moment. Assuming that Boo has a reasonable bedtime between 6 and 8 p.m, it is 8 to 9 hours earlier where she lives in comparison with the East Coast. If we look at a time zone map, that should mean Boo lives in either Japan, Korea, Russia, Indonesia, or Australia. And where does P. Sherman live? Australia. So that is timings, where they live, Easter eggs, so much evidence to prove that P. Sherman and Boo are related, which of course means that Boo and Darla are related. Now, you might be asking why on earth P. Sherman is so attached to Darla and not his own daughter. Now, as we said before, P. Sherman doesn't seem to love Boo as much as he loves Darla, as he walks into Boo's room, steals the mobile, and doesn't even realize that Boo is gone. Now, after the divorce, what would have happened is P. Sherman probably didn't see much of his old wife, or his daughter, so he might have got really close to his niece Darla. And we know they have been bonding for over a year now when Finding Nemo takes place, because P. Sherman shows the picture of Darla getting a fish and says it was a year ago. And as we know, P. Sherman, he is so determined to get Darla a fish, and this is probably because he failed on his first daughter, so he's trying to get his niece to be just like his daughter and to be really caring for his niece. I mean, Darla even styles her hair the same way as Boo does, and we can also see in Monsters Inc. that there is a Finding Nemo toy in Boo's room, which of course P. Sherman loves clownfish, so which would make sense for Boo to have that toy in her room. This toy is also a Easter egg to Pixar's next movie, which is Finding Nemo, because every Pixar movie, Pixar adds an Easter egg to their next movie that's coming out. So Monsters Inc. came out, they left the Finding Nemo Easter egg, and then Finding Nemo came out. And it just ties in better because as seen as Monsters Inc. came before Finding Nemo, and then the next movie was Finding Nemo, we'd all got attached to Boo, and now they are showing us Boo's family again. So guys, that is how Boo from Monsters Inc. and Darla from Finding Nemo could be related. If you did enjoy this video, then please like it and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like I said before, we are trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, so we would love any help. And tell us in the field section down below what you thought of this theory. If you do think that P. Sherman could be Boo's father, tell us all that in the field section down below. And the answer to the emoji question is Finding Dory. If you did get that right, then please tell us that in the field section down below. And as always, we've been here in Gate of Theories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.